Did you know there are some awesome weapons that you can only get in Remnant 2 by defeating the game on the harder difficulty modes as well as hardcore? The thing is, for many games, the average player simply doesn't finish the campaign, let alone play on the harder difficulty modes. This was emphasized recently in a developer livestream from Blizzard for Diablo 4, where they confirmed, quote, "The vast majority of Diablo 4 players have yet to complete the campaign," end quote. This does apply to most games, and considering some of these weapons in Remnant 2 require you to beat the game on the hardest mode like Apocalypse, then many people simply won't see them. So here are 7 weapons that 90% of players will probably never unlock. Number 1 and 2 is Sporebloom and Smolder. Both of these are unlocked after beating the game on veteran difficulty. Sporebloom is an exceptionally powerful single shot weapon that deals bonus stagger damage to enemies but must be reloaded after each shot. With a special modification called Spore Shot, it can fire a rotten spore that explodes in a 6-meter radius and leaves behind a poisoned cloud for 7 seconds. The weapon description says, "I've heard tales of the colossal creature that the Sporebloom's parts were taken from, though I've never laid eyes on it myself. It's hard to fathom how the Wanderer could have possibly defeated such a monstrosity." And then there's Smolder, a melee weapon that's forged from the remains of Singe, the root dragon. It's adorned with an intricate root growth that is imbued with the fury of its predecessor. This blade's special effect is Blaze, which makes all charged attacks apply burning over 5 seconds, and the blade itself has a very cool burning effect on it. The description for this one says, "The idea of defeating the root dragon was something I couldn't even fathom, let alone fashioning a weapon from its remains. The sheer willpower and tenacity of the Wanderer was truly remarkable." So again, to get these you'd want to beat the game on veteran difficulty. But next up are 2 weapons that you will get by defeating the game on nightmare difficulty, the Repulsor and the Hero's Sword. The Repulsor is a long gun converted from experimental Dreamer tech. It gets more accurate the longer you aim it, and has a very menacing look to it. Perhaps the 2 most interesting things about this one is the very cool and unique reload animation that it has, where a secret compartment pops up and spins around, but also its banishment modification. This causes enemies or allies to be banished to another dimension for 4 seconds. When the banish ends, enemies then take a 1.25 times damage modifier from the Repulsor weapon. This looks pretty cool and is an interesting idea. However, it doesn't work on elites, but it does apply the debuff to them for that bonus damage. The weapon description says, "The irony of it all is that we had unwittingly dismantled our own defenses, opening the door for them to invade. With the destruction of our world's barriers, our only means of combating the root was to wield its own grotesque weaponry against it." But then you have the Hero's Sword, one that we have previously covered on the channel. It's a personal favourite of ours. This is because it's a reference to both the first Remnant game, but also a nod to The Legend of Zelda, and the Hero's Sword just looks pretty awesome. It's nimble and adaptable, but it has a unique ability which sets it apart called Energy Wave. This causes charged attacks to unleash an energy wave projectile that can pierce enemies and travels very far, making it an effective ranged weapon. Its description says, "I remember the day when the Wanderer departed, leaving behind their loyal companion, this sword. The very same blade that fought alongside them in countless battles, now lay on the ground of Ward 13, a testament to the hero's journey. Though the Wanderer moved on, the sword remained, a silent sentinel waiting for its next worthy wielder to take up its cause." But next, if you're brave enough to take on Apocalypse difficulty, then you just might unlock Starkiller and the World's Edge. These ones are absolutely awesome. The Starkiller is a very unique weapon, the pinnacle of the Feta technology, constructed after the Custodian's Rebellion but never tested in combat. It fires high-velocity beams that penetrate enemies, and has a secret scope if you double-tap aim. Its modification is extremely cool, it's called Gravity Core, and it fires a compressed sphere which on impact pulls in enemies for 5 seconds, dealing damage to them. However, when the gravity well expires, it then explodes, dealing damage based on the number of enemies it's contained. This thing is a massive AoE and does look pretty cool. The weapon description says, "The Drazir have always venerated efficiency. As such, the Feta remain an anomaly. I do not understand why their ridiculous expenditures were tolerated. I can only think that the Drazir were afraid of the void more than we claimed." And next is perhaps the best melee weapon in the game. It's the World's Edge. This thing looks so awesome, it is incredible. It's crafted from a shattered world stone, and it possesses a unique ability to turn the root's power against itself. Not only does it look visually incredible, but it also has an amazing Horizon Strike ability where each charged attack will release a wide horizontal projectile that penetrates multiple enemies, dealing damage each time. This thing is insane, and I just love the way it looks. The description for it says, "Harsgard had us all fooled. played us like a fiddle. Who could have guessed that he was in cahoots with the roots? And yet, despite all odds, he managed to survive all these years, though I wouldn't exactly call it surviving. And next up is the Savior weapon, which you get by beating the game on Hardcore Veteran. Clementine forged this weapon herself as the final hope for the Wanderer to overcome Harsgard. It fires violent energy with each shot and can be charged up for maximum damage, but does have some AoE capabilities with its modification called Shatterstar. This imbues the weapon with fire, causing each shot to burn enemies. However, your weak point hits and kills will make these shots fragment and automatically target other nearby enemies for half damage and apply the burn. I also really love the reload animation for this one. If you don't like playing hardcore characters where they can be lost forever, you will probably never get to use this one. The description for it says, "I think that the Wanderer knew that they had fulfilled their purpose. They could finally put down the Savior, knowing that they wouldn't need it anymore on their journey beyond." Well, there are 7 weapons that you get by playing on the higher difficulties and on hardcore. Some of these are really cool looking, and it's a shame that some players won't get to use them, but at least you can see them here in this video. Share any other awesome weapons that you think players might miss in the comments down below, and the 2 videos on screen now, we think you'll really enjoy if you did enjoy this one. You don't have to watch them if you don't want to, but if you did like this video, you're probably going to like these ones too. And then tell us what you think after watching in the comments down below.